Okay, land trains week 10. Decent week. So let's talk about where we're at. Bugs wise, I figured out some of the bugs around the earthworm. It turns out that I wasn't actually keeping into account where the player was when I was spawning enemies. I fixed that. It's a little bit too aggressive and bouncing things out of their space when the player train locomotive is too close. Um, Cleaned up some buff related things. I'm charging gems. I have credits ish. I have a scene changer, and we can pause, which is important because it allows us to do some other stuff. Rebuild most of the user interface. Looks pretty much the same, but most of it has been rebuilt to be clickable, and that makes it a lot nicer to work with. Added my generative AI disclaimer because I'm using Copilot, and right now that's a big deal. Allowed you to restart the game after you died, which is something that you couldn't do before. You just had to start the entire thing again. Move to moving starting position to the middle of the map. It's like on an edge, but it's still much more central. Bug-friendly spaces, exclude train. That's the issue with the worm showing up underneath the train. And made a bunch of things clickable. Created some initial bugs to kind of kill like that minute at the beginning of the game that was kind of like dead time. Did a bunch of refactoring on the UI layout. Got a really good idea from a local meetup around like creating some little opening cinematic around increasing the sense of scale. And putting like a relatively simple in-game cinematic. We're talking like 10-15 seconds of bugs showing up and tiny humans running towards the train to make the train look big. But just to kind of like anchor people to that scale of how big the train is supposed to feel, and then how big the bugs feel in turn. I think that's it. Let's take a look at what it looks like. So we have an actual user interface that pops up with absolutely manually produced stuff. We have a little pop-up that shows up and gives you at least something of an idea as to what to do. We start with a few of these little bug nests right in front of us. Right now we don't have any gems or anything else, but you can see there's costs on things, you can click on things, you can, you know, click your wagons down here. This is supposed to be the locomotive. That thing doesn't work yet. So yeah, much better in that regard. You see some of the bugs are popping up, not on the anthills, and the reason for that is that the spawning of these bugs is also taking into account where the player is located and not allowing for spawning underneath the player. So I need to clean up that behavior. These guys are showing up and being less derpy and slowly moving towards the player, so that's good. Let's see what else is new. Lots of bugs. Bugs are having fun. We can pause the game, and then we can say, oh, I want to actually like upgrade some of these things. I'm gonna do some pickup range because that makes my my train longer. Oh, and I can't do this because it's charging gems. Right. Game is fair now. So gems are being charged. Initial cost is just me, wagging a finger at it and assuming I can figure out what is a good starting number. I don't know if they're good numbers or not. So yeah, things are playable. Papa is making a video game, and he's talking about that right now. Sure. You can watch this too. So that's where we're at. Hey, pause. Paying off. So yeah, all in all, it is getting to the point where it is playable for a few minutes. The earthworms right now are having interesting new bugs. These guys are working their best and doing their thing. The reason I don't have to get as close is because of pickup range. Right now there's no reason to complete these events because there's no power-ups. But it's doing decent. We're still at 40 FPS. We have a few hundred enemies on the screen. We'll upgrade some more turrets to be lightning turrets. Especially towards the front of the train. We'll add some fire turrets in there as well. Resume game. So yeah, it is becoming much more game-like. And I think that it's getting to the point where I'm gonna create the first actual build that I'll be sharing with people to give feedback. But so far, cautiously optimistic. Most of the things are working the way they're supposed to.
When are those worms wigging out?
Yeah, the worms are bugged. I know the worms are bugged. Anyway, let's look at real quick at the. This is great. I'm so happy I'm recording this. Alright, so we can still die. We can return to main menu. You can hit play again, and that's supposed to work. And right now it doesn't work. Alright, next week. Goal is fix some of the bugs. I need to add a few more to this because apparently restart doesn't work and my bugs are working out. And get the full gameplay part in there. Right, so charging gems is working already. Ranking up cannons, the Tesla, the burning the ice. Implement all that. Finish the lower decks for the broadsides. Add a user interface for selecting power-ups. Adding a few power-ups. And I think that is gonna be the list before the first build will be made available for people to start testing. And the goal for the first build is that it has like 3 or 4 good minutes of gameplay. That's all I'm trying to get to right now. I think that it's getting there. I think that after like 4 or 5 minutes in a level, it's time for the boss to show up. And that would be then the next enhancement after this. And then from a replayability perspective, that's where the power-ups would become more important. The passive, the offensive, and defensive power-ups. Alright, that's where we're at this week. I'm not going to bother re-recording this. You get my family this time. That's how these things go sometimes.